Hello, everyone. My name is Conrad. I'm on behalf of CameraStuff. Thank you for joining tonight. Sorry for the wait. It's always a gremlin or two here and thereabouts. So thank you for joining. In this Limelight session, we have Biya joining us tonight. So before pulling him in, I'm just going to show you what he is capable of. So a bunch of lovely photos, all created by Joss. I'm going to talk about these images one by one. So as always, if you've out there in Facebook land, in YouTube land, if you have any questions to ask, please do drop that in the comment section. And we'll tackle them as we get along. So I think without further ado, let's pull in Joss. Hello there,
Hey
sir.
Conrad, how are you?
I'm doing
I'm good,
fine,
and
thanks
you?
yourself.
I'm
All
doing
good, my
well.
side. All right. So thank you for joining. So I have a bunch of questions to ask from my side. So I think we can just get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Oh, okay. Myself as a background. So this is a quite weird story because I, s- I started something very different to photography. So my background when I started, I was doing actually something else. I was studying. I'm from UJ. I was doing engineering. So up until a time, I was in a church where I was attending, and in that church, I was in the media. So when I was in the media, I was just trying to really understand what to do, and I started doing the lighting on stage, and then I was a camera operator, and up until I developed some interest into photography, and then that's how I went into photography, and then I was really in love with photography and stuff. So yeah.
All right, yeah, it's interesting. For many people I've interviewed, it's always a case of one thing leading to another, and photography, kind of being the in game here. So it's interesting how we all got started in it. So tell me
Yeah.
about the first years. What gear you had, what you started off with, and
Oh,
what you have now.
that's very interesting. If we're really going to talk about the first gear, I'll say I had a Canon 1300. Yeah, Canon
Mm-hmm.
1300. And the funny story behind that is I bought that camera with my fees money. So this is so weird. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my parents sponsored me to pay for fees at UJ, and as I was already in that mode of photography, so I decided to go and buy myself a camera with my fees money, and then things went weird, and I couldn't even pay back. I started struggling, and then I was like, okay, I don't know if my mom is watching me, so just know that in 2017, I just decided to use that money you sent me for varsity to buy myself a camera. But at least I ended up paying back, even though I struggled a lot. So yeah, I guess that's how I got my first gear, 1300D.
I think maybe one of your friends or family saying, "Josh, your parents are watching."
Definitely. Okay. I hope my mom is saying, because she was sponsoring at the time. So sorry, mom. I'm sorry. At least I graduated and I got my certificate. So yeah.
Well, I think you're paying it back. You're obviously graduated, but you have started this wonderful career as a photographer as well, and you've been creating some very stunning results. So,
Thank you.
very commendable work. So we are very fascinated in your work, and what's do you have planned for the future? So, where you're based now, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, actually, I'm based in Melville. That's actually where
Hmm.
our studio is. And in next 5, 10 years, I'll say I want to have like a place where I will portray my work for people
Hmm.
to come and see, because I just don't want to stop it in the Instagram level. But
Yes.
I also love to print them out, and then for people to come and see, because they are art and it's more on the
Mm,
creative side. And I want people to come and observe and watch, and have some
mm,
inspiration. So
absolutely.
that's what I really want.
Now, something all photographers should be doing is just to print out their work and display it somewhere,
Yep.
even if it's just for you personally. To see the true quote unquote majesty of your images as printed out, as intended. Now, I think we get a little bit too content, a little bit too complacent with the Instagram world and the Facebook world, but it disappears. Stuff goes down the pipeline, and not reminding yourself where you've been, where you're going, what your talents are, etc. So, even as I said, if it's done on a personal level, if it's just you in your little office, you have your stuff printed out, just to give yourself a pat on the back, should I say? But yeah, it's
Yep.
definitely aspirational, wanting to get that. What's it called, the exhibition out, where you can have a place to have all your stuff out there. As I said, yeah, it's definitely something we'll need to do.
Mm.
All right, so I see you are mostly busy in the studio, so choice of indoor versus outdoor, like where does your heart lie? Is it a mix between the two, or do you see yourself growing in one area alone?
So I think it mixed between the two, because I guess I was more into outdoor, and I had to meet some people. I think they've really developed something in me where I really wanted to do also the studio, and then I think now I'm mixed like between the two. So as I also have enough access to different props, so I'm also really developing that side of mixing some props around and to get more creative. So I'll definitely say I'm mixed between the two.
Okay, awesome. All right, so something I think we may have skipped. So we talked about your past gear. What do you have now in terms of camera, lenses, lighting, etc.? So, well,
Oh,
what do you
okay.
travel around with? What do you carry with you, etc.?
So in my backpack, I've got Canon 5D Mark III, and I also have a Canon R6. I have 70 to 200 millimeter. I have 24 to 105, 50 millimeter. I've got in terms of like lighting that I can easily travel with, I have a 8200, and my favorite is the V1, because I really love that light, because it really helps me with it connects to the 8200 easily, and then you can easily travel with. You can connect. You can use it as an exterior light. So I really love that V1. So that's the easier way for me to go and travel for a shoot.
Must have been a big leap going from the 1300D to the big 5D or the R6 now, hey?
Yeah, I think I got inspired by people that really gave me that taste of going for what you want. If you want you want good quality, you want to grow, you have to try to close your eyes and get that good camera or good lighting equipment that you want for, because that's going to help you achieve what you have in mind.
All right. So, do you have like a favorite combination of things to use? Or is it a case of horses for courses? For example, do you have a favorite lens, a go-to lens, or is it what the situation demands?
I'm not quite sure, but what I can, in terms of lens, what I use most of the time, I'll just go with the R6 and maybe the 24 to 105, because I feel like the 24 to 105 is more easier for you to. It's more versatile, so I go with R6 and 24 to 105. Yep.
All right. So, in terms of, did you get any formal training in terms of photography? And a follow-up question to that would be, like, how would you, like, is it advisable for people to get that formal training, or do you think like YouTube University is a good way of approaching it?
Okay, in terms of training, so as I said, in terms of my background, I was in the environment where people were in the media. So I had to meet, I didn't go like specifically for school into photography, but I had a chance to meet with people who went to school for it and studied photography, and they started giving me advices. And then I had to meet Kiku as well, who also helped me with his advices. And so I think I can. If you think it's you're good, you want to go for school for photography, you can go, because who am I to say no? You know what? You don't have to pay money for that, because maybe there are some tips that they can give you, and then
Of
we
course,
might
yeah.
learn from you too. So So I can't tell you to not go. But I went to Udemy. I also learned from Udemy. I had to purchase some courses and module that I had to learn, and how to retouch, and to get also a lot of tips from Udemy as well. So yeah.
That's an interesting question, that one. Like, is formal training required, or can you depend on internet university? And I think definitely in the formal training, little bits and pieces here and there, if not official training, will definitely take you a long way. Learning in the school of hard knocks, as they call it, learning as you go along, learning by yourself with experience and whatnot. That's also worthwhile, has utility obviously with that as well. But I think that education platform will give you exactly that, just a bit of a head start in terms of setting your head straight from the beginning, in terms of how to learn, what to learn, and from there it's just a case of pulling in your own stuff.
Definitely.
All right. So in terms of studio photography, like from start to finish, where does the inspiration come from? Like, do you want to talk us through the entire process?
Yeah, of course. So, okay, depends on what I'm shooting or who I'm shooting. So I'll just talk with how I deal with some clients sometimes, because they might go through my work, through my Instagram, and say, okay, you know what, I love this picture, I want to do this. Or sometimes they come with their own ideas. So what I do, I try to create a sort of mood board, where I'll get inspiration of. She can tell me like, okay, you know what, I want a picture, I want a photo shoot, I want something outdoor or in a classy area, or I want a studio with this and that around. So I'll try to come with a mood board and say, okay, you know what, we can try to reproduce this, or I can advise from the props that I have. So you know what, can we try to use this? And also the mood board helps because sometimes other people, they don't really know how to pose. Not everyone is a model, and someone might just need photo shoot for his birthday or something. So I'll say, you know what, this mood board will also help you to pose. It's gonna give you some tips. So it's gonna give you an idea of what we can reproduce, and then I think we just take it from there. So yeah.
Okay, it's interesting you ended up with that. So how strict are you with the mood board and the pre-planning? Like, do things need to happen precisely as you plan it, or on a day do you allow things to happen and fall in place as they might? Yep. So how strict are you with your pre-planning?
I think I'm also open. I can be. I prefer to follow the direction of what I prepared, but I also try to be more open if the person has some ideas, maybe. So I'll just try to hear from the person for that person to be also more comfortable, because not sometimes people don't really know what they want. So I'll try to hear from them and try to reproduce what they have in mind, if I can. And then yeah, so I follow the mood board, but I'm also open to suggestions. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go about it. And especially on a day as a photographer, we need to be quite intuitive and read our models and clients, because the mood board that you set up, it may not be precisely their personality or where they precisely want to go. So the mood boards are great for in terms of styling and posing, lighting and whatnot. But on a day, as you get to know the person, and as you said, very key word, as the person is feeling comfortable, like you kind of need to read into the situation and just take it from there. That's a very good advice from there. Now, in terms of posing, how do you get a model client comfortable, and how do you help out with the posing?
Oh, okay. I have a tip. Um, I think I've learned it also from someone, which is, before I start, I'll just try to familiarize with the person. I'll try to talk to the person, especially with ladies. What I do, I'll just try to ask, okay, when you take selfies, which side do you propose the most? Or which side do you give to yourself? Do you use left or right? So at
I
least
like that.
when the person when the person says something, I'm like, okay, at least I'll try to ask her to give me more of her right side, or to shift more a bit on the left hand side or right hand. So at least from there, I will already have a good side of face, I guess. So I think I start to pick up how I can easily direct the person. So from there, so that's the question that I always ask to everyone. So before the shoot, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that. Asking the model, when you take selfies, which side you typically do, and just kind of take it from there. Now, when you sense a model is feeling a little bit not confident, like how do you get a model in the zone, or how do you help from your side?
On my side,
Mm.
you know, the truth is, I think this is a secret that I'm just sharing with you. I don't know if people can hear me. I don't know what I'm saying, but okay. I'm sometimes nervous also when before I shoot. The person might
That's natural, yeah.
I might know the person. I might know the person, but I also feel nervous before a shoot, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I need a minute. I need a break. Let's say, especially sometimes with weddings, I'm like, I need a break. I think I have just to be out of everyone, and then I think that's what helps me. I'll just try to go with a, I guess, 10-second or 30-second of a blackout time where I'm just thinking about something else, and then come back and try to be more creative. So I think that's how it works for me. I don't know with other people, but I just try to go to black out and think about nothing, and then come back and try to be more creative.
Yeah, I do the same. Especially in a studio. Like I take
Wow.
a few minutes to myself just to set up the lighting and whatnot. Like I pretend that the lights are not working, and I kind of just go to one side and just push some random buttons just to have a moment for myself.
So
Yeah,
I'm not
so
alone.
I understand fully. I understand fully where you're coming from. Yeah, so I think it is just natural to feel nervous, but I think that nervousness helps as well. Somebody once taught me if you're not feeling nervous, then you're probably not learning. So,
Wow.
so it's good to get into that every now and then. And yeah, definitely you're not alone. I spoke to many people. It's almost a very persistent thing in the world of photography to feel that nervousness.
Mm, mm. Then I
Yeah,
know
but
that
you're getting the end result, so that is something you can pat yourself on the
definitely.
back with.
Yeah, as long
Great
as you've got
stuff.
the result.
Yeah, so a couple of comments here. Only the best photographer that I know. So we got
Okay,
fire emoji, fire emoji,
this is giving me too much pressure. The pressure is getting
fire
worse.
emoji. No, not at all. So all of these people supporting you.
Okay.
So well done from our side and well done from them as well. So thank you for the comments, guys. So if you have any questions to ask, please do drop that in the comment section as well. All right. So how do you stay inspired? So in terms of photography, when it comes to writing, people have writer's block. We like to call it lighter's block. So when you have that moment in doldrums where you don't feel inspired whatsoever, like do you have a process for it? Do you have something that will help you get out of it, and if anything at all?
Okay. I thank God because I'm like surrounded by people who are really creative, and then with that environment, first of all, I see the work, and that's always pushed me to try to do better, to try to do more, to try to be more creative. So that environment really helps me a lot. And also, I try to challenge myself with new style of, trying to have a different type of props around, and going checking people on the social media, let's say on the Instagram, trying to see what they're doing, and then I all the time try to combine two type of things. Let's say I'm trying to bring the vintage style of outfit or something, but with this type of generation where we really retouch the skin with everything. But all around, I try to bring because I have access to such props. So I try to bring the vintage props around the what today. So this is what I'm trying to work with these days. So I think that's how I keep myself inspired. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you just keep busy, so you don't afford yourself like a massive time off or
Exactly.
whatsoever, which I think is a mistake. People taking massive times off because
Mm,
it becomes a habit, taking time away from photography, which is a habit you don't want. So, some good advice from your side is staying busy and you're surrounding yourself with good people, and of course,
yeah,
things that can inspire you. So you mentioned the props and whatnot. So I think being proactive is
yeah,
a good way of going about it. If
yeah,
you want to stay inspired.
yeah,
All right. So, are you ready for your first question from the audience?
yeah. I guess I'm ready.
Let's do it. So, from Ives Matubas, do you think gear matters in photography? So, is it Ives
Um,
or Eves? Sorry if I mispronounced
it's
your name.
it's Eve, I guess. Eve, yeah. He
Eves.
doesn't
Yeah.
say, yeah. So you know, I'll say it does, because at some point you're gonna need to use a camera that can perform in low light. You know,
Mm.
because you in some points it does, in some points it doesn't, because you might
Mm.
need to use a camera in low light. So bro, you need a better camera as well. But
Mm.
if you have something you think that's okay for you, I think you can go with, because unless if you have light to compensate that side of low light environment. So yeah, so if that wasn't the case, we'll all stay in entry level cameras. So unless
Mm.
if we're trying
Yeah,
to
makes
upgrade,
sense.
yeah, if we're trying to upgrade, it's because we want, some better quality. So we want more
Mm.
pixels. We want, something to look better on the billboard. So it depends on what you want to achieve. To me, I think I needed to upgrade. So
Mm.
gear matters. Yeah.
That's good that you brought that up because the first camera I used,
Mm.
when you went above ISO 200, it was incredibly noisy. So I
Yeah.
had to learn how to use flash very quickly because the low light levels capability of that camera was completely dreadful. Then I upgraded to a camera what I'm using now, and now I can shoot ISO 3200, 6400 with
Yeah.
limited noise. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
you. When it comes to shooting in low light, it makes a huge difference for gear that you
Huge
have.
difference. Yeah.
So yes, you can compensate with lighting, but if a camera can tolerate low levels of noise at low light,
Yeah.
it's a godsend.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what other questions I have here. So in terms of studio work, like, do you have a go-to lighting setup? In terms of light placement and whatnot, like, do you have the old faithful, as we like to call it here, in terms of setting your lights up precisely in this particular manner because it works, or do you like to experiment on a day and kind of like what I pointed out earlier, is it a horses for courses type of thing? Whatever is demanded in the situation.
Okay. Sorry. I think I was just trying to read questions here. You said in terms of, I just want to make sure, in terms of lighting, how I position my light, I guess.
Yep. So, like, do you set up your lights? Like, do you have what we call in the old faithful lighting setup, where you put the lights in
Oh,
this setup
yeah.
because it's something that is dependable, or is it a case of setting up the lights depending on the situation and what is
Mm.
required?
So I think, okay, I'll say most of the time, if I've let's say I have to shoot indoor, let's say in terms of studio,
Mm.
I already use my, I think 8200. That's for me it's enough for me to try to keep myself to give enough light and to stay creative in all the positioning that I want to. Because let's say most of the time I use upon my light at 45 degrees. So
Mm.
for me to keep the soft shadow on the faces. So yeah, I think that's the way I approach it. And
Mm.
also in terms of outdoor, so it depends on how the weather is. So I'll say,
Mm.
okay, sometimes it's cloudy, or let's say because most of the time outdoor I like shooting around 4 or 5. So I prefer to use the sun at the back of the
Mm. Yeah,
tenants
makes
or the
sense.
subject.
Hmm.
so that my light is really up front, and then I have the rim light from the sun. So that's how I shoot on. Or also depends on the environment. If let's say I'm indoors and I have a window somewhere, I try to put also my lights on the darkened side, so that I try to balance. So I think for me, my 8200 helps me to really, it gives me enough. So I'm okay with going 400 or having all those lights, but I don't really like it when it's too bright. So depends on, photographers. So I prefer the lights to be like, for you not to see that there was a light or impact of lights there. So that's how I prefer
That's
it.
a very good approach. Now, somebody once told me that lighting is like breathing. Like you need artificial lighting, but you need to use it in a way that is not noticeable. So, like breathing,
Yes,
essential, but don't do it. That's distracting.
exactly.
All right. So, I got a couple of questions from the audience, and then we're going to jump into your photos. So, let's see what we have here. So, a question from Praise: how do you stay up to date with the new trends and techniques in photography? So,
Uh,
question: do you stay up with stay up with the
I'm
latest
up to date
trends, or do you?
with the
Mm,
new trends. Yeah, okay, let's just put it in today's word. We mostly photographer are exposing their work into on Instagram, I say Instagram or Facebook. So it's just where I think I keep myself busy to try to understand. Okay, this is quite the new trend, but on my side, what I think is, what I have in mind is, like, I don't really follow that trend, or I don't know what you call that trend, but I try to keep my side or my originality, or way when you see
mm,
my picture, you know that okay, this is how it does his work. So that's fine. I can try to follow other people to try one here and there, but I still want to keep my signature where I do my
mm,
style as well. That's why I said these days I'm just trying to work on mixing the vintage props around, and then someone who's maybe dressing up like people today. So yeah, I follow what people post every day. I check new and great photographers out there. I love the work, and I also get inspired to bring what I can take, try to filter what's good, and then to bring it on my side. So yeah, I'm everyone on social media.
mm. That's very interesting what you just said. Because I think people can kind of spot inauthenticity and fakeness about people if they try to copy what other people are doing. So the you-ness is very essential in your work, and people can read the genuineness and the authenticity in your work. So I think, yeah, keeping you intact in your images, and you can mix a bit of inspiration from other people, but as long as it's predominantly you and it's your personality, it's what you like to say, all of that coming out, I think that is definitely the better pathway forward. All right. So, another question. What is the one thing you wish you knew when you started taking photos?
Don't buy gears. Don't think what you have is enough. Because I stayed with that. I only had a 1300, and I had one flash, and in my mind I was like, that's enough. Up until I had to meet other people, I was like, no man, you have to upgrade. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be more creative. So also I was more closed. I was not really open to talk to different photographers, because I was like, okay, he's doing his business, I'm also doing my business. No interest, no nothing, but I don't want to learn about him. Up until I started, I met a guy who has a AOS studio, and the way he was talking to me was like, bro, I want to hear from you. It's not like I'm good or I'm bad or whatever, but I want to hear from you and tell me more about how you work. And then from there, I started learning, like, bro, you have to talk to photographers. They are not your enemies. They do their work, and you're also doing your side of work, but try to talk to everyone. Listen to what they have to propose. Listen to what they have as ideas. Yeah, so I think being in being in an environment with good photographers, that's really helped me a lot. So I think I wish I knew that before.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So I think what we're going to do now, so I see a bunch of extra questions here. We're just going to keep those on ice for the time being. So I think we
Oh,
can get to your images.
oh,
All
okay.
right. So we have your photos here, a handful of them. So I'm going to ask from your side if you just want to give us a bit of a rundown as to what went into these
Okay.
creations. If anything inspired you to do this, or if it was experimenting on a day with different stuff, what gear you used, what direction you went into, etc., etc. So I think basically the floor is yours.
Yeah. So the one on the, I think it's also your left hand side. I mean, on the left hand side, with I got inspired by Aladdin. I don't know how you say it, Jasmine and Aladdin. So that's what I
Mhm.
was trying to reproduce. That's why we asked her to wear that
Sure.
veil, and we used uh, my favorite light, as I said, the V1, and we used the 8200. So we did put gels on them. So that's how we went with these two. I mean, the first one on the left hand side, the 8200, and the V1. We did put gels on them, and that's how they went. And the one on the right hand side, funny stuff is they're kind of related because the lady, when she did cut her hair, she said, you know what, I
Mhm.
want a photo shoot, but I want something quite similar to the previous shoot that you got. So I was like, really? Okay, what we can do with your look, can we bring a bit of touch of African, um, okay, I see someone is asking me if I use the R6. This one I use the Canon 5D Mark III for this one, these two photos. So this and then I asked her, let's bring a African touch on this picture, and then that's why we asked her to wear the necklace
Mhm.
and everything she got. So on this picture, what I did, um, I used we had a backdrop. Of course, also the previous one we used a black backdrop, but we just made sure we had a grid on the softbox
Sure.
to avoid the lights to hit on the black backdrop, and same as this one, but on the other side we did put it on the backdrop, still with a gel, and to bring some color. And then also we had another, I think on the 45 degree it was a 8200, and I wanted a bit of light instead of it to be just two colors as the previous one. I tried to add something. I didn't want enough, I mean too much light. I took a SL60 with, because it can't really show on the like enough power when we have two flash, so that's why it's a bit
Mhm.
softened on the other side. So on the other side we
Okay.
use a SL60 for a continuous
All
light.
right.
You can get them at CameraStuff definitely.
Thank you. All right, so I have a bunch of follow-up questions, but I see a questions in the sorry, I see a question, should I say, in the audience here, which I think is quite important to get to. So I don't know if you have anything to add to this. So we are implementing transformation in South Africa. How do you think your input in photography will help us achieve transformation?
Okay. We implemented transformation in terms of what? That's what I just trying to, transformation in essay. How do you think your inputs in photography will help us achieve transformation? Okay, I don't know, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but do you do you get what exactly transformation in terms of what?
Okay, we can ask the commenter, the Sando. So if you just want to do a
Yeah,
follow-up on that question, just so that we know that we're
yes,
on the
please.
same page.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really don't
so
know
if you
what you
could
want to
just
say.
do no problem. Yeah, so we can just get a bit of an elaboration on this question, but we will gladly answer you. I
Yeah.
have a suspicion as to what this means, and I also have something to say from my side, but obviously
Yeah,
to
I
get
don't
your
want to
input.
say something and then it's not making sense to his question.
All right. But even if it's not that, I still like to ask you about that as well. But in any case, let's go to
Yeah.
more photos as well.
Oh, this one.
So I think this is my favorite one of yours. I really love this.
Wow. Okay, the funny part about this photo shoot was supposed to be a headshot.
Mm-hmm.
This one was supposed to be a headshot only. She came only for headshots because she had her hair prepared, and we wanted to focus on her face and like everything about the head of it. So when we did the headshot at the end, she said, like, you know what, I have a white dress. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to to copy her voice. So it's like, I have a white dress, and we can try something. Like, I want to have a. I was like, okay. And as I said, this is also one of my favorite because everything came spontaneous. Like, we were just trying to add props around and to mix up. So I said, okay, that's fine. The first thing we had whatever she was sitting on, and then we had that box at the back,
Mm-hmm.
and it was still empty. We had a few clicks with that, and then we say, okay, you know what? Let's add a bit of flowers around. We got flowers, and then still nothing. We had flowers next to her, and then she did put some. So she was sitting, trying to pose, and so we had that harp next to us. Like, okay, you know what? Let's try this one. We know you can't play, but let's see what we've got from here. And then we got the harp, and then we had no smoke around. So we tried to. She said she doesn't speak like that. We tried to have a smoke around. We tried to add a smoke around, and then the smoke was there, and we needed a bit of density on, because so we did put some smoke, and then the light. I mean the gel again, and so what we used was
Mm-hmm.
we used P90, definitely from CameraStuff, and we had a 8200 P90 with a grid, 8200
Mm-hmm.
also, and then we had a V1 also with a grid. We had I don't know how to call the softbox, the same as I'm using here, the 6x60 60 times 60, and then we had a gel, so to try to make it a
Mm-hmm.
bit soft. So that's how we got to this photo.
Now it's interesting that you mentioned the box. So I assume she is sitting on a box, but the dress is hiding the box.
Yeah, it's hiding it. She's sitting on a box.
Nah, that's very clever. I love that. So in terms of the prop usage, what I like is the clever dispersion of it. So it's not using too little, not too much. So I
Yeah.
think it's a nice little balance of extra little things. Let's just spice up the photo. Properly balanced. As I said, it's my favorite photo of yours. Just the gels. What gels are you using, and how are you mounting it on your flashes?
Oh, I just get some sort of, okay, I don't know how to call them, but they're just sticky to. Oh yeah, I use the, how is it called again? A plastic. I use also a reflector that I connect to the
Mm-hmm.
mount, Bowen mount, and then I use the gel. I put some sticky thing, and then that's how I connect them to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That works is something I do here from my side as well. Just whatever is sticky enough to keep a gel in place. I mean, why not? All right.
Yeah.
So you got the follow up transformation. What is the new value that you're adding into the industry?
Oh, okay.
So I
So.
think, how are we evolving
Mhm.
photography? What little new tidbits are we adding into the world of current photography that may transform photography in the future?
Okay. Actually, I would like to look at in a sense where, let's say today I can hear people talking about. I just want to make it a bit broad. I can hear people talking about Chat GPT and stuff. You can ask. You can take a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, photo from a certain photographer, and then bring it to Chat GPT, saying like, you know what, I want this to look like it's in a wedding where we you just put the picture, and then you write, I want this to look like it's in a wedding day. Let's say a couple shot, and then you're bringing it, you want it to look like it's in a wedding day. So, and I've heard people saying like, you know what, it's the end of photography, it's a end of photographers, it's an
Mm.
end of this, because you see what the AI is doing, artificial intelligence is doing. So it's like, okay, there's one more job that's going to be out. I want to say something. You know,
Mm.
whatever was captured was by the photographer that you bring to ChatGPT before you ask him to do whatever it is doing. So that side, whatever was shot was by a human being, a person that shot that. So
Mm.
that intelligence, that creativity of poses or whatever, that was from a certain person who brought that idea before you go to chat GPT or whatever the thing can be called. So what I want to bring is on my side, what I want to bring is that uh, difference where you don't actually you can't be okay. I feel like I'm saying a lot of things at the same time. What I want to say is
Oh, go
you
on. No, we're listening.
yeah. What I want to say is bring what the chat gpt can't do, because chat gpt actually is bringing what certainly exists or somewhere in terms of creativity, taking left and right here and there and trying to bring it in a broadened way or whatever. But on
Mm.
my side, I want to bring my own style. I'm bringing my own style. I want to present my own style to make a difference, because I think my uniqueness, I don't even think like whatever artificial intelligence can do can I do. I prefer on my side keep my uniqueness. I prefer to keep
Yeah.
my uniqueness, the way I do want my work and the way I want to go on my side. So uh, my style of what, as I said, what I'm working on to bring the vintage world and to bring what the people that we're seeing today, to bring it to show it, to portray it to the world. So I don't think on my side, I don't want it to be on the. I don't think the artificial intelligence will do as I want. So I want it to be unique on my side. So what I'll bring is that uniqueness of my style. So yeah, I think I went to talk about a lot of things, but I could just keep it
Mm.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic for AI stuff. I think you made a few valid points as well. A few things that AI may not be able to recreate in the future. I
Yeah.
think it's just the interaction, between people as well. A big compliment. I don't know if you'll agree with this, but to me, the biggest compliment a photographer can receive is when a model or client says, "You put me in a different light," or "You've shown a different side of me," or "I haven't seen myself like this before."
Mm.
All said positively, obviously. So that requires another person to look at you and to create that interpretation, or to see that interpretation, or to see something in you that other people may not see. And I think that is something that AI may not
Mm.
recreate that
Yeah.
easily, right? So it's just a way we interact and look at one another. And I think that humanness is something that's going to be very difficult to copy.
Yeah.
All right. So let's have a look at your other images, shall we? So I think the
Okay.
next one is outdoor. Brilliant
Yeah.
photo. So I think question that pops into my head immediately: the
Mm.
lens. What lens did you use in the aperture? Because I see a nice little, well, little, but a big
Okay.
shallow depth of field.
So I used the 70 to 200, yeah, 2.8. That's what I used. So this photo was actually it's one of my good friend, Jeremy. Actually, the guy went through some difficult situation in his life that enhanced in him the capability of writing. So what it does videos where it puts voice over. It starts talking about people or like whatever topic. So here, the idea was about talking about self improvements. So
Mm-hmm.
that what was behind this. So they were doing a video, and then they asked me to come and capture, because the lady was working in such area, such environment. She was walking around, and then they asked me to come and capture the situation. So what I used I used the P90. I used the P90, and yeah, with just one light, 45-degree, and I think it was on the other side, and yeah, that's all. With most of the time, I always use a grid because, as I said at first, I don't want my light to spread like I used to not use the grid, but now I think I've learned a lot to not use to make sure the light doesn't spread around, and so I have a grid. That's why it might seems like there's no light, but there was a light, and then yeah, that's how I went.
Okay. Do you want to explain to the audience what a grid is?
Oh yeah, a grid is actually it's okay. I don't know how I can show it with fingers or something, but actually it helps you soften the
I know
lights.
it's
Yeah,
no, I
it's
can't.
just yeah. Actually, it helps you soften the lights, and then at a certain angle, the light can't really reach. That's why in the previous pictures you can see there was a grid, there was a light, but at the background it was dark. The one that I said inspired by Jasmine. At the background it was dark, and I used the grid because at a certain angle the lights can transfer to the backdrop, and then everything was dark as if she was in a dark room. But that's really helped me to play with the lights. So it really helps me to play with the lights. Yeah.
Yeah, so a grid looks like a net that you place in front of your light source.
Exactly,
Some
that's the
attached
word.
directly to a softbox. So using Velcro, whatnot, and as Josh explained beautifully, it just constrains the light. It avoids light spillage, so the light goes precisely where you want it. So I think a good example in this particular image, like you can see, the front of the grass, the foreground is not that illuminated by the flash itself, so it provides a bit of a natural vignette. So the attention of the audience's eyes goes directly to the model. So this is a means of getting the light directly where you want it and keeping light off areas where you don't want a lot of light. So the grid is an essential tool just to help you focus the amount of light.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's have a look here.
Okay.
So who is this? I think this is someone you
You,
mentioned in your interview, your photographer of your week
yeah.
interview as well.
His name is Kiku. He's a good friend of mine, and he's part of the people who really helped me to improve my work with his advice, and yeah, and he gave me the taste of going for whatever lights you want. It might sound crazy about the prices and crazy about the gear. I mean, the price of the whatever you're looking for, but if you want it, just sometimes you ask me, do you have faith? So I'm like, yeah, let's go buy it. So this was a music video. We used this was a music video, and it's actually the similar setup as the one that I have right now. We have a backdrop behind. The back we used SZ 150 RGB
Oh,
lights
fancy. I'm jealous. I
from
want that one.
from CameraStuff.
Hmm.
And we had a SL60 because it was a video. It was singing actually, and SL60, and with a SL60 and a softbox as well, grid always, and then we got this.
Perfect. So, in terms of mentorship, so it sounds like Kiku has provided a bit of mentorship towards you. So, what advice would you give to mentors out there? So, obviously, Kiku did a good job with you. Do you think, in terms of mentorship, like, do you think some things need to change a little bit? Do you think things are being done okay? Like, what do you see as good mentorship versus bad mentorship? I think that's, without beating around the
A
bush.
good
What do you think?
mentorship. Okay, I'll say, okay, in terms of photography, because in terms of maybe other business or activities, might be a bit lost to advice in that side. I'll say sometimes someone who's coming to you for mentorship, sometimes they don't really have the same gear as you, or because if they need your help, it's because you probably have more than them. You have experience than what they might have. So sometimes people don't really have what you've got, and sometimes let's say you guys have to work together. They have to familiarize with the thing. And what I would advise is sometimes it's also patience. So to mentor, when you're mentoring someone, you need to have patience. So because he doesn't know, or he wants to learn from you, and sometimes people are scared to break something because the person knows, like, this is expensive. This is expensive, and I can't do quick with this, or I might break it and stuff. So I think patience is, I know it's not easy because on set we have pressure. We have pressure from the clients. We have pressure from people, and you might be lost. And so I think they need to be patient with people. And to mentor someone, I think you also need on your side, you have to have a big heart because people make mistakes. So you'll be like, okay, man, you doing it wrong, and you coming second time, the person is still doing it wrong, keeping on doing it wrong. But I think you also have to be patient on your side. So I think that's how I can
No, very
talk
good
about
points.
mentoring.
I think we can encapsulate all of that into one word, and that being empathy. Now, because being a mentor, not that I'm a mentor myself, but obviously 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you were in a similar position to that of your students. So, plus also what you mentioned about not having the same gear, also with that, not having the same background, the same history as you. So a lot of empathy, a lot of sympathy, just a lot of understanding required from the mentor's side. And I think that's part reason why not everyone can be a mentor, or you can't just fall into mentorship. It requires a bit of training and introspection from your side as well. All right, so let's see what else we got.
Okay.
Sorry, it's from my side. Go. Give us a rundown
Now
here.
I can get the picture. Now this picture, there's a funny story behind this, because whoever whatever smoke you're seeing there, it's a abli. Someone was there with a abli and smoking a abli.
Oh, okay. So it's not a smoke machine. So it's like a literal human smoke machine.
This exactly. This was okay. Behind this, we wanted to go on to bring a smooth criminal vibe as per Michael Jackson. So we had the picture. We had the light on the side, and the funny part is there was someone down there. Someone down there who was smoking abli, like literally
I
smoking
like it.
abli, and then that was challenging for him because the abli wasn't that big, and it was
Huffing and
it
puffing in the
was it
background.
was yeah. So we didn't have one take. So I was like, no, man, this was too much. That was too much smoke. You have to add more. You have to reduce. You have to, and then so this was so funny. But this is what that's the story behind this picture. Someone might see the picture, not really know what happened, but there was someone suffocating down there because he was laying like on the floor. Definitely, the guy was laying on the floor and then smoking and then blowing up, and definitely still same whatever that I do, 45-degree, and I had a V1. I mostly use it as my rim light. I had a V1, and yeah, that's how I got this, and AD200 still V1. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people use vapes. I've never heard of a hubly before. So at weddings and
Yeah, it's a
whatnot, I've seen
conduct.
people huffing and puffing the vapes. Yeah, so I think the hubblies, I think maybe a bit more pleasant,
Yeah,
but yeah, I've
compared
never heard
to
of the hubblies. But
previous picture, the one that I did like really previously. Oh, this one was with Eddie 80. Oh, what am I saying? 5D Mark III. So
Mm-hmm.
compared to the previous one, we used the smoke machine, the one with the lady with hair, but this one someone used hardly. So
Okay.
yeah,
I suppose technically it's the same thing. No, machine
yeah.
smoke machine or human smoke machine. Yeah.
Uh,
So if you get the end result, I mean, why not? All right.
yeah,
Okay. So that will
yeah.
be
You
the
never know the
images.
story
Thank you
behind.
for that. All
Mm,
right. So I have a bunch of questions from the audience here. So,
okay.
so first one from Brendan. Can you be my mentor, Joss?
Yeah, I think I'll have enough to advise. I'll have enough to talk, have a chat, and then try to give what I have or what I've learned from people. Because
Hmm.
um, that's, as I said, I believe in learning from here and there. I try to open up myself to hear from photographers. They're doing their job, of course, but you have to. They are not your enemy. You guys might do it as a business. There might be competition, but I don't mind mentoring someone or listening to what the other person has to offer.
Sure.
So I can be your mentor.
Right stuff. So, a question I really want to ask quickly before I forget.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
setup now with this interview looks quite fancy. So, do you want to tell us what you're using? So, with a purple backdrop and what light you're using on you. So, what's happening there?
Okay. Actually, there's as I said, I have a grid everywhere, and it's a AD, sorry, a SL60,
Mm-hmm.
and this one at the back here, it's a TL60. Sorry, TL30, the
Mm.
small one. So it's just eating at the backdrop, black backdrop. So yeah. So
Or
yeah,
can we see it? Maybe if you
this
move a little bit. Ah, okay. Well, there's one.
yeah. So we just eating at the back there, and it's helping us to get that color. Still can get them from camera
Mm.
stuff,
Well, thank
definitely.
you. All right. So, question here: how do you market your work?
Mm. Okay, I'd, I, I'd love really to go on websites and Google to market my work there, but I don't know. Instagram works so well for me, like really well, and that's where I just base my work and expose my work for marketing, and then just try to sponsorize, and then also uh, I'll say the way also I sell myself is to go and whenever I meet up with people and I tell them what I do and show them my work, and then on my side that's how it works. That's actually how it works on my side. So I just use Instagram, sponsored by Instagram, and that's how it goes for me.
Okay,
So
interesting. Good. So I think, yeah, from a person who asked you for mentorship, Josh, can we have a book from you titled The Photographer's Mind? So we're going to see you in CNA sometime soon.
okay, I agree. I agree. I won't say no to
Let's do it.
that. So photographer's mind. Okay. I, I think I can say what I have in my mind to advise how
Hmm.
to think when you're about to capture something, how you have to be, open up your mind and then know what to capture, what to click on. Yeah, I think I might do it one day.
Okay. Well, just who's gonna who are you gonna sign your book for first?
Oof.
So I think a different way
Ah,
of asking that question is, who's your biggest fan?
my biggest fan
Mm.
in terms of, oh, I have one guy, John Grace. That's what he is, a great photographer. I really love his style, and
Okay.
he's the one who gave me the idea of bringing like props around. Like he has given me the taste of bringing props around, different type of props. And John Grace,
Okay.
you can check out his Instagram. So yeah,
So he's getting the first signed copy of
yeah,
the
I hope so.
photographer's mind.
Ouch.
All right. So, there's so many comments here. I think this is quite a busy chat.
Wasn't expecting that.
All right. So, I think I have a couple of questions from my side. Then we can, yeah, because we're an hour in,
Yep.
so time flew. Wow. Okay. So, just a couple of
Wasn't
questions more from
expecting
my
at all.
side.
Yep.
Can you share any advice for new photographers out there? So, people who are just starting out, what advice can you
Hmm.
give?
I think I've two. I guess I don't know if it's still one or two, but I'll say don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else chapter 10.
Mm,
What I'm
put
about to
that on a
say is
t-shirt. I like that one.
because because you might just start and then you really want to be like the other one, but he also is there. So it's good improvement. Some other people can improve so faster. That's good. But you know, you might maybe the guy was there for 10 years and then you
Mm.
can just show up and then trying to be like the person. Just focus on your work and try to do with what you have, and try to learn from people, because I've been saying, like, photographers around are not your enemy. You guys might be doing the same business, there might be competition, but just try to talk to photographers and you learn a lot, and they also might learn from you. You might think like you don't know, but you might have a tip like that they might love and then use it on their next photo shoot. So just try not to compare what you do to others' work, but try to learn from them.
Okay, I really like that. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. As I said, put that on a t-shirt with your signature below it. All right, so last question. Any shout outs, people you'd like to thank for participating in your journey?
Oh, yeah. I'll shout out to Kiku, of course, because he gave me advice of using this setup and everything. We're also using his studio. Shout out to iOS Studio. Eve Matuba is also a great photographer. We have Waltari. Waltari, we have Focus Media, George. We have MacD, Donald. Yeah, we have Joel Umondi, who are like good people that are around me. Good people that are around me with praise. So many people around me that's really helped me improve my work and stuff. So shout out to them, because they really helped me to keep on being creative. Because every time they share with me videos, photos of how photographers perform. So that really keeps me, up to date to keep on being creative and stuff. So shout out to them. Yeah.
Thank you, Josh, for joining us tonight. It's been a very inspiring, very enlightening interview. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so thank you for joining tonight. I think the audience,
Thank
very
you.
active tonight, enjoyed it as well. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you have any other questions from the audience. I think there's one or two.
Do you
So I
have
think
any
the last
question?
question we're going to take, do you have a studio? And where is the studio?
Wait, yeah, I do have a studio, which is at in Melville, Johannesburg, 71 3rd Avenue, Melville. That's where our studio is based.
All right. Now, if you want to follow Joss, check out the links in the comment section. So I dropped them earlier today. If you want to watch this video from the beginning, it's going to be on YouTube forever. So if you want to watch it from the start, you're welcome to do that. Just go to CameraStuff's YouTube channel and you can find it right there. But I think that's going to be it from our side. So as I said, wonderful interview. Did a fantastic job. Very enlightening. So I don't know if you have any final things to say.
Uh, what I would say, it's what I think I will also read it to on my phone. It's an advice from a friend, but I just tried to put it on my screen, phone, whatever. It's a man's gift makes room for him, and that's what brings him to great people. So just make sure the gift that you have, work on it. That's how you sharpening whatever gift or capability that you have. So work on whatever gift that you have, or ability or skills that you have, because that's what's going to make a room for you, and that's going to open doors for you to great people. So it's it's Proverb 18:16. Yeah.
All right. Love that. So wonderful indeed. And we love you, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone,
Bye.
for watching tonight. I think it's been a great interview. So we're going to say good night, and I hope you have a pleasant night further. So thank you again for joining. That's going to be it from our side. So from myself, Conrad, on behalf of CameraStuff, and Josh as well, it's going to be a good night from us. So cheerios. Thank you for joining.
Bye.